Have you ever stood in the garden and wondered, there has to be an easier way to do this? I hear you. You're not alone. In this video, I'll show you 3 of my favorite ways for gardening smarter, so you can save money, your back, and ultimately save one of life's most valuable resources, time. It's true that gardening requires a certain amount of investment, right? But it doesn't need to be expensive. And these days, saving a few dollars here and there, we all know is a good thing. So whether you've gardened for 2 months or 2 decades, I think you'll agree that there are a lot of different ways to accomplish every gardening task. So I've spent over 35 years trying and testing tools and techniques, and in this video, I'm going to share 3 of my favorite tips to help you be thrifty and frugal without creating more work for yourself or wasting materials and your time. Hi, it's Marion Owen here from The Gardener's Coach, where I help you grow your dream garden using super easy organic gardening techniques. Oh yes, I've been gardening for a while. You see my gray hair? As we go through this list together, let us know in the comments below, what's your favorite gardening hack and why? Then, once we've covered these 3 tips, I'm going to share with you an incredibly simple secret sauce technique that you can use to fill your raised beds efficiently and on the cheap. So let's dive in. Number 1, many popular or name brands of gardening tools or supplies become popular mostly because, well, people buy them. But it doesn't mean that they're the best choice or that there aren't better alternatives. For example, a new car isn't necessarily better than a used one. I mean, a used one still gets you from point A to point B, but for the most part, for a lot less money. In this tip, we're going to talk about row covers. If you're not familiar with row covers, I'll introduce you. Row covers, or floating row covers, are a lightweight, semi-transparent fabric made from polyester, nylon, or other synthetic materials. Are row covers necessary? It's up to you, of course, though I consider them an essential gardening tool. And here's why. You can accomplish a lot with row covers. For example, they protect your plants from cold temperatures and from too much sun. Now there's a lot of name brand row covers out there. They all allow rain and light to pass through, but many of these spun fibers don't survive past 1 season. That's because strong winds easily shred them to pieces or lift them off entirely and carry them away. What's more, holes are difficult to repair, and if you have a lot of plants to protect, using row covers can get pretty expensive. That's what I was dealing with until a few years ago, when a gardening friend in the UK told me about using tulle fabric as an inexpensive and sturdy alternative to Agribon and other name brand row covers. Tulle fabric is a fine mesh net fabric, most commonly used for making skirts and dresses and coats and ballet costumes. In the garden, it stretches and tightens down securely over hoops to keep out sneaky pests like sawflies. Here's what I especially like about tulle. The fine mesh is a physical barrier to keep out cats and birds that munch on and turn over seeds and seedlings. And it prevents insects like cabbage worms and potato beetles from damaging your plants. Tulle, which is spelled Tulle, allows moisture through like commercially made row covers do. But it resists shredding and tearing much better than commercially made row covers. It comes in a variety of widths, though I prefer the wider 108-inch width. Oh, and one more thing, and you're going to love this. You can decorate your garden with tulle, since it comes in a variety of colors like pink and yellow and light blue. On to tip number 2. This is my plug for perennials. Back in the mid-1980s, when I first started growing vegetables, herbs, and flowers, I grew a lot of annual flowers. One time, while transplanting, I think it was pansy seedlings, it hit me. Man, these are a lot of work. You see, annuals require more tending to, and here's why. Because annual flowers live for just 1 year. They put forth an abundance of flowers in order to get pollinated and produce seeds all in one season. Problem is, they need replacing every year. Perennials, on the other hand, so long as you pay attention to their needs, will be happy and healthy for many years to come. And over time, they can save you lots of money. Yes, I still grow annuals like calendula, nemesia, and nasturtiums, but I must admit to you, over the years I've replaced a lot of growing room with perennials. Now, when selecting perennials, what you want to do is choose a mix of plants and shrubs that bloom at different times of the year, so you can enjoy a long show of colors and textures throughout the growing season. By the way, if you're confused about, say, the difference between a hybrid and an heirloom, or deciduous versus coniferous, check out my helpful tip sheet of need-to-know gardening terms. I posted the link for you in the description below. Now for tip number 3. If you grow crops in a high tunnel or a hoop house, then you know that maintaining the plastic, that covering, can be a challenge, especially in windy areas. To save yourself from having to replace the plastic too often, which is a real pain, I highly recommend going with a double layer inflation system. Let me explain. A single layer of greenhouse plastic has very little insulation value, but when you inflate the air in between 2 layers of fabric, suddenly your plastic lasts years, not months. I know this works because we've been using the same 2 layers of 7 mil plastic for over 10 years. And we live in Kodiak, Alaska. Here's why 2 layers of plastic that's inflated by a fan works so well. First, the inflated layers provide additional insulation. Second, they improve the structure's ability to retain heat better through cold periods, which means the soil and your plants are less likely to freeze. And third, the fan keeps everything nice and tight, which enables the entire structure to deflect strong winds and shed snow during blizzards. Plus, and you won't hear about this very often, tight plastic means fixed plastic, which means it doesn't rub against the supports and cause that horrific ripping and tearing problem. Oh hey, if you're finding value in this video, give me a thumbs up. It really makes a huge difference. Now, earlier in the video, I said I'd share with you an incredibly simple secret sauce technique that you can use to fill your raised beds efficiently and on the cheap. Raised beds are truly the way to grow, no matter where on the planet you play in the dirt. Filling them up to the brim, though, can be daunting and it can get expensive. No worries. Here's what to do. Start by collecting chunky material, such as kitchen scraps and branches, leaves, kelp, sawdust, grass clippings, brown or green, cardboard, even cotton shirts and blue jeans. Then fill your raised beds about 3/4 full with this chunky stuff. Then top it off with finer material, such as sifted compost, soil, seaweed, old potting soil, and aged manure. The contents will start to break down, thanks to worms and bazillions of hard-working microbes. As it decomposes, the contents will settle down the next few months, which is no problem when sowing seeds or transplanting seedlings of annuals. For perennials, though, I suggest holding off transplanting them in your newly filled raised beds for at least, say, a season. Finally, by applying even a couple of the methods we've covered today, will actually make gardening easier and more pleasant for you. It will help bring the romance back into gardening. Plus, I bet you'll start noticing right away other cool ways to save time and keep more money in your savings account. Remember to check the description below for the resources and links I shared with you. Until next time, cheers!